Hey, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, this week we sit down with Rex Andrews, a former Reality of Wrestling Texas champion and a two-time Reality of Wrestling television champion, as well as an NWA Georgia television champion. Rex has just returned from his Wrestle-1 debut with Fight TV and the Rex Files. Make sure you guys check that out. Enjoy the interview as we sit down and once again talk to Rex Andrews.
Yeti, you're moron.
Put it this way, I think Sami Callihan might as well just change his name to Invader 1.
I want to know why. Like, you can dodge any question. Like, I'll tell anyone that. You can tell me but I'm going to ask specific questions.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
WrestlingNewsSource.com. All the rest of you yahoos who are out there dilly-dillying, you little wankers, we're actually receiving real wrestling news.
This is
Brett screwed Brett.
Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold 2! Arm bar!
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
So does Rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold 3.
Hey, JP, how you doing, man?
All right. How was China?
China? I don't know. I haven't been. I'll get around to it.
I know you will. I know you will, man.
Rex, you know how much fun? Dude, you know how much fun this is for me because, dude, we've been doing this forever, and dude, I missed you the first time because I had work, but I'm so excited to have you on here now, man. Oh man, I'm glad to hear that. Glad to go home with you guys. I appreciate you having me. JP, you ready? I'm gonna start just popping out questions. If that's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
And then we'll go through the Rex. I'm gonna ask a few. I'm just gonna go through this stuff. And JP and I have been doing this for about 8 years. A little bit of back history on us is that we were doing this before the podcast actually exists.
It was.
Wow, really?
It was internet radio back then. But we worked with PWA a lot. With Kev, that's how we got you, was through Kevin and Robbie Gilmore. So.
Man, that's gotta be great for you guys. You guys have like connections all over the country now.
It's cool, yeah. So, here's a funny story. So I'm watching Raw one night, and it was down in Houston, and I see Robbie doing a security spot, and next to him, I see a kid I knew was Biff Busick, Chris whatever, now Oney Lorcan. So I text Robbie. I said, the kid next to you on TV, if you don't know him, get to know him. And, Robbie got back, cool, yeah, no, he seems like a good dude. And I don't know, a year or so later, Biff came back up to Boston and was like, hey, I heard I owe you a thank you for a random booking. So that was how he got in with Booker.
Yeah.
So it's just paying attention and knowing, seeing who's on and who's around people and stuff. And networking is such a huge part of the wrestling business.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Just building that network up for sure. I think it's something that people are starting to get better at with like Twitter and things like that. But it used to be everybody just wanted to protect their bookings, right?
Yeah.
Kind of stay in the bubble.
Well, with you even, like at the end, you ended, and I gave you a lot of credit for this, you ended every single one of your vlogs with all of your plugs, all of your Twitter handles and the Instagram and all that. And that's so smart because you had such a broad audience on there for Fight TV. If somebody, did you get follows out of that? Did you pay attention to?
Oh, yeah, I was tracking social media hard. I had some pretty stiff goals for myself. I wanted to keep, going into it because I figured, best case scenario coming out of it, if I had a broader audience, then that's a win. Yeah. So yeah, my social media did really well. I was really happy with how Instagram and Twitter did. So no complaints about that.
Yeah, up in New England we got Bob Evans. I don't know if you're familiar with Bob at all.
Yeah, Bob, man, he's putting out some of the best info for anybody.
So his new thing now, if you pay attention to his Facebook, his new thing now is he'll help anyone out. But if you go to him and say, hey, I need help with the booking, you have to show him a list of promoters that you emailed, texted, Facebooked on your own. And if you can show him that list, so you show him you're willing to do the work, then he'll get you a booking, or he'll help you get a booking.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's because it's people get lazy with it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, everybody wants it to fall into their lap, but it doesn't happen that way.
No, that's you look at what the traveling you've done. I'm not even talking the international stuff. I told you Josh is from Montana, and they don't get shows up there, but yet you've gone up there.
Yeah.
You found your way up there. No, what was Japan like?
Man, Japan was amazing. More than anything, just kind of being in their culture where they all have they're just obsessed with wrestling. Like everybody involved, that's just their day in, day out. You wake up and it's just wrestling all day. I was lucky enough to have some time to kind of explore the city while I was there. But yeah, just had a kind of there's a lot of us are obsessed with wrestling anyway. But to be over there and to get paid, pretty nice for it, and get to just kind of be ingrained in that culture of it was a good time. Here's the thing, brother. Here's the thing, brother. This is Josh. I spent 7 months over in Japan, specifically in Okinawa, and I cannot put into words, and I cannot describe to people the culture that is associated with Japanese people, Japanese culture, and professional wrestling. It is something that you cannot put into words, I don't think, unless you can. Hopefully you can, but I can't. No, it is a strange kind of vibe, right? Like they just respect the athletes, period. But the way that they treat pro wrestlers, just from seeing how they treated us and how receptive sponsors were to us was something else, man.
Now here's a question: how many of the boys, since you're back, how many of the boys have asked you for advice or to show you something you learned in Japan?
I had as soon as I got back, I talked to Booker, and I told him I wanted to teach a class once a week at the Reality Wrestling Gym. So Tuesday was my first class, and yeah, we had like I don't want to say record turnout, but 20 or 30 students showed up.
Awesome.
It was a good group of guys, and everybody was real receptive to learning something new and kind of seeing that perspective, that I picked up over there.
What caught me, like we only saw, 10 minutes a day of what you were doing. You did the one,
right?
You were doing the drill where you didn't do a springboard, obviously, off the ropes, but you were doing the drills and you sort of did like a tightrope onto the top rope. And just that balance. And some of the guys that were from Japan weren't doing it, but it looked like you tried everything. And there was one day, there was the one drill you couldn't do, and you went back at the end until you got it right.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, that's I was there to learn something. I was there to pick up new tricks. So if there's something I can't do, I'm like, all right, I need to figure this out. I'm not gonna just stick to what I know. So yeah, and what's cool about the Japan system is I don't know if you guys know they do the excursions,
yes,
where
the
once you graduate the dojo, they go to a different country and they train that style. So we had one guy there who had trained in the UK for 6 months. And we had one guy who had trained in Mexico in Lucha Libre. So they were taking that, bringing it back to the Wrestle-1 Japanese style, and then just kind of doing that. So like a lot of the springboard stuff was coming from that guy who had trained in Mexico. So it's just kind of like a world culture of just all different styles of wrestling kind of coming together there.
And it's not like you were hanging around. We saw you a lot in the kitchen trying to figure out what was in the food. But you were but you were there brushing elbows with the CEO. So you got. I don't want to say you got an experience other people wouldn't have, but you took it all in the way I don't think everybody would have.
And that's I think part of it is I owe that to doing the Rex Files on Fight. Is that I knew my job. I'm like, okay, I have to do a daily video blog. I have to have some kind of content to put out there, so I better figure out something interesting to do. And Wrestle-1 being on board, obviously with doing the video blog, so they kind of gave me full access, and everybody was cool. Like Kaz Hayashi is the president and the booker of Wrestle-1, and he just kind of whatever I needed to do, he was helping me get it done.
Now, will you ever complain about a stiff kick after hearing the K1 kicks?
Oh, Jesus, man, yeah. Those K1 guys are animals, man. Dude, that video that you put up where it was just your face and you were sitting there and you could hear like the literal skin on skin and bone on bone, that was insane. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, man, I had my earphones in and I'm sitting there just doing bicep curls and I just hear these guys just like landing these nasty kicks at each other and I'm like, That should work out a little harder, I guess. I don't know.
Now, I have an important question, and this relates to one of your tweets where you were. Oh no, I think it was one of the part of the Q&A vlog you did, and this is. Did you find good beer out there?
Oh man, yeah, there were some pretty good beer gardens. What they don't know how to do is they don't know how to pour beer. Everywhere I went,
You drank Sapporo and Orion.
Yeah, it's they're all like the glass they give you is like half a head of beer.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Not the same culture. They love their highballs. They love whiskey and ginger ale.
Well, Japanese.
That's what they drink out there.
Japanese whiskey's getting kind of big here now, so I can see that.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Good beer.
So what I got out of Texas in hanging around with, back then it was the PWA guys for the weekend I was down there is, so up in Boston, in the wrestling locker room, you get two groups of guys. You get the one group in the corner that's like, they're not all straight edge, but they're straight edge reading their comics, and then you got the group on the other side and they're drinking the beers. You guys are all the fun side. Everybody that was in Texas drank with us that weekend, and I don't know if it's like that all the time or if because it was WrestleMania weekend or whatever. But man, you guys had fun.
Man, yeah, it's definitely a fun culture out here. As long as we keep it after the show.
Yes,
so those Wild West guys who trying to get started a little early with the partying, I can't support that.
Well, I mean, your life and your opponent's life is in your hand in the ring. So yeah, obviously you gotta keep it after. It is such a different culture. Even 2 years removed right now, just 2 years removed, it is such a different culture because as Rex just said, I mean, these guys from Japan are traveling to the UK. They're traveling to Germany for maybe even WXW or whatever. But they're traveling in different places, learning all their styles. And the people that are benefiting from this are the fans and from us. The specific people that are benefiting from all of this, especially when the WWE started to go to $9.99 a month, that allowed a lot of people to open up to New Japan Pro Wrestling, to all these patrons and support and pay money to guys like Rex, where we can buy their T-shirts, do stuff, follow Fight TV, follow the Rex Files, do all this stuff and be inundated and learn exactly what it means to a headlock and learn what it means to sell a move, learn what it means to not consistently communicate in the ring with your mouth, but do it through the moves. And that's the coolest thing that I enjoy and I love by watching the Rex Files and learning from Rex is that it's not really that kayfabe is gone. It's still there. It's that everybody understands it's there. We appreciate it and we love it. That means a lot. You say that, man. I appreciate that, and I feel like that's kind of where we moved to. I think you're right with just the availability of wrestling. What I've always wondered was why, like, if you want to learn about acting, you can read everything you want to about acting, but that doesn't mean you can't still enjoy the movie. You can learn how like the techniques an actor uses, and you can learn like how they put scenes together, and you can watch all the behind the scenes stuff, but you can still enjoy the movie. So like, why can't we do that with wrestling? Why is there this barrier of we can't talk about how we train and how we put these things together because we act like that'll ruin wrestling? But it's just helping people who are passionate about it and people who want to understand it deeper, allowing them to see it and understand it deeper, because that's where we should be in 2018. I feel like, and that's what we're all about. Is that we promote this stuff, and we're asking people. Okay, if you're going to the show, I don't give a shit. Grab somebody, pay for their ticket, and take them with them. Just take them with. Just go with, because it is so different now than it was even 2 years ago. Because the talent is tremendous. The training is universal. The trust is opening, and the iron curtain, so to speak, that you're talking about is kind of coming down. Everybody knows that kayfabe is cool. It's like you can go to shows and you can, it can be some bookers say, okay, you're a face, you're in this locker room, you're a heel, you're in this locker room. And that's how it works. That's just how it works. And I understand 100% respect that, but the coolest thing about it is that when you've got people like yourself that are coming up, and I've said this specifically, is I think you're a young Stone Cold Steve Austin. I see it in your moves. I see it in what you do. I see it in how you present yourself. It's just going to take that time, and you've done it, and you're a Shiner Box fan,
You're a dude, and you've got it right. And that's what's so cool about your generation is that you put the professionalism first and the partying second. Absolutely, man. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, you know, like you said, with just the way things are so different than they are 2 years ago from when I started training and, you know, with the PWA days of reality wrestling. What we were all waiting on is like, you got to wait for an opportunity to come up. You got to wait for somebody to give you a call. But now we're in a position where you can do your own thing. Like the Rex Files, you know, when there's opportunity to do this tour for Wrestle-1, and then after that, they're like, yeah, you did a good job. We're going to keep it going. So I'm doing the Rex Files twice a week now on Fight TV, but it's an opportunity for me to have my own show on Fight TV and, you know, promote myself in that aspect, do my shows, and, like, there's never been easier access for people to see independent wrestlers and for someone to grow their own brand and become their own business than it is right now.
I'm gonna ask you this question because this has always been the hardest pill for me to swallow. Is when somebody says an independent wrestler, what that means to most people is that you are an independent contractor that is contracted to do individual promotion, and that individual promotion is 100% by you trusting, and that's what JP was talking about, is to have that network where if you're willing to do the work and put the work in like you've done. I mean, Jesus, man, how hard was it you to figure out how to cut video, edit it, post it, and say, holy crap, that doesn't look like shit. I might have done a good job.
Exactly. Yeah, trying to learn on the fly was this learning curve for sure.
You learned quicker than I did how to edit. You learned quicker how to edit videos than I did how to edit the talking. So I'm still not that good with editing the podcast yet. And yours looked professional. Looked like you had been doing YouTube videos, like doing YouTube vlogs forever, or, you know, like you fit in right with all the people that have been doing that for a while. So
I appreciate that, man. You know, still learning, right? Still always improving.
That's
How much work is that for you? How much work is it for you to do put the Rex Files together? I mean, if you go through a day right now as an independent wrestler, somebody that doesn't have health insurance, doesn't have any of this stuff out there, you're an independent wrestler. What is your day? And how does that translate into making professional wrestling a dream that you want to make it into right now?
You're saying like what's like my day to day?
Yeah, I mean you got a scheduled time for social media, for training, promoting yourself, scheduling shows. I mean, I'm going here this day, tickets. I mean, it's got to be a lot, right?
Yeah, you got it, man. That's you know, I have a little daily planner and. I have like goals that I set where I gotta make sure I post social media. I gotta promote my upcoming appearance, and I gotta promote this, you know, whatever this video I did, and then at the same time, like I have to, like, so what I'm going through right now is like, okay, well I'm trying to design this shirt, and I'm trying to get someone to model it, and I need to get it printed. At the same time, I'm trying to produce this video, and at the same time, I'm trying to promote like my upcoming appearance, and I'm trying to book out June. So like, there's a lot of stuff, and it's like the one-man show, but I get fired up by it. I like having too much stuff going on because it just means like, all right, this is going to pay off, you know, down the line. Like working now for June means that in like June maybe I don't have to work. I have to work for December. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep building out that way.
I can't fathom it. And I don't know how much side story here, sidebar. We can cut this later, but dude, I interview a lot of metal and hard rock guys, dude. I mean, Jason Manos or Johnny Poole, a lot of stuff, and I cannot put into words or describe the amount of travel and the dedication you guys have to have, especially you. You've been wanting to do this since you were a kid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But, you know, that's just part of it. I don't know. To me, like I don't mind being on the highway. I don't mind the drive because it's you get an opportunity to do what you love to do. You know what I mean? Like. It's what I've wanted to do since I was 9. So if someone in Dallas or someone 4 hours away or 7 hours away has a show that I can do, and I get paid to do it, and I get to be in front of an audience, like, man, that's how can I pass that up?
No, you've been. What's the difference in wrestling or training from doing it down for Booker, doing it at Wrestle-1, and doing it?
I heard it right there, man. You heard it in his voice.
And doing it in India.
Oh, so
in India, I was running the show, so I was teaching these guys the basics, and that just teaching them very base level stuff, like simple wrestling. So it wasn't as intense. It was intense was just trying to deal with living in India and like the heat index and all that kind of stuff. That was a battle. But the difference in here and Wrestle-1 primarily is what I wanted to bring with my classes that I teach these kids is I have jiu-jitsu experience, and I've always been a fan of mixed martial arts, but a lot of these kids have never shoot wrestled or done jiu-jitsu or anything like that, so they weren't exposed to what it means to like actually grapple with somebody. So this first Tuesday, I took everybody in there. I'm like, all right, you're just going to pair off and we're going to fight. We're going to see what happens. So I had these guys shoot wrestling for the first time and experiencing what that was. And in Wrestle-1, it doesn't matter what your size is. You're pairing off with everybody. So it's this All Japan guy who's been around for 10 years. He's 250 pounds. He's going to smash the 140-pound young boy just to show him he's got to put on some size and he's got to get better at wrestling. So just a little bit different culture, and there's just not, you don't get babied in Wrestle-1. Not to say you get babied here, but you get eased in a little bit more here than you would there.
Let me ask you this. So this is what I found, and you correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, Rex, is what I find out in the States specifically is if you've got somebody that's really green, you can put them in a match with somebody that has 15 or 20 years experience, and they are willing to adapt, and if there's a miss spot, a miss this or that, they're willing to communicate with that greenhorn and help them progress. Whereas when you're over there in Japan, it is old school, 1980s, the WWF, I'm going to kick your ass, and I'm going to show you that you don't belong here, and the only way you're going to belong here is if you show me that you belong here.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Just not say maybe you don't belong here, but like if you don't fire up, if you don't hit me, then I'm not selling for you. Like I'm not working with you unless you like give me a reason to work with you. And like you said here, yeah, maybe people give too much. They're like, all right, yeah, it's okay, we'll cover this up, or it doesn't have to be that intense. And yeah, I think people get put on shows before they're ready here. And you really have to work for it there.
There's kids here in Massachusetts that wrestle, and they're good wrestlers. I'll say good.
Yeah.
But I grew up in the city. I grew up in Boston.
Southie.
Yes. Exactly. But I've never pro wrestled, but I've been in fist fights. And I can watch these kids wrestle, and I'll talk to them after the shows. Dude, you've never been in a fist fight in your life. What are you doing in the ring? Go to a bar, get in a fight, and then figure it out. You can tell by the way, the way someone sells something as simple as a punch. Like they've never really been punched. And it drives me nuts. So I think you going in there and just doing shoot wrestling with them, I think that's a great idea. And I think that's something everyone should adapt because it'll just make everything more believable.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, and that's what I told them at the end of the day. I was like, hey, you guys have been in pro wrestling school. Don't you think you should have some grasp of wrestling? You should be able to handle yourself. Because worst case scenario, someone tries to test you, and you need to be able to handle yourself.
There were mixed martial artists, MMA guys, Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans. They both took pro wrestling classes to learn how to cut promos. Why won't pro wrestlers learn MMA for the same reasons? To learn how to really do the moves. That's in order to sell it right, you've got to actually feel it.
Yeah, and something else that drives me crazy in wrestling is that for some reason, if you're an MMA fighter, you're constantly training throughout your entire career. But for some reason, pro wrestlers, a lot of times, they get a couple years in and they feel like they don't have to train anymore. And I don't understand that at all.
It drives me nuts, too. As a fan, it drives me nuts.
Let me ask you this, Rex, and this is kind of going back a little bit, is we were talking about independent wrestling and everything. What is your ultimate goal? I know you're the type of guy that has short-term goals. You're the type of guy that has long-term goals. You're the type of guy that, mom is everything to you, and we know that. The biggest thing that I want to know is
for me, what is Rex Andrews' ultimate goal? Man, ultimate goal is, I'm pretty flexible at the end of the day, but to make a career, like a long, substantial career, and to, that's the ultimate goal. I feel like with the way that the independents are right now, it's, you don't need that elusive contract as much as you used to. Guys are doing really well. And I think that's the ideal goal, because then you still have your freedom. You can still kind of, do what you want to do. That's where I would like to see myself the most, is just staying on the independents but making a good career doing this.
And so you're talking, and just so I clarify, when people listen to this, you're talking more about a Chris Jericho type aspect to what you want to accomplish. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, you can't set a higher goal than that, right? When I look at guys like you mentioned Matt Riddle earlier, or like a Joey Ryan, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho, like guys who have that ultimate freedom to just be these personalities and make a living doing pro wrestling, and things associated with that, I think is amazing.
It's so.
What do you think? What do you think just in your experience? Because this is a dream since you've been 9, and for old dudes like JP and I, this was not a possibility when we were growing up. This was not a possibility. If you were a professional wrestler, you were Xerxes, you were Hercules, you were a guy that was unstoppable, and they came out of nowhere. Now, right, if somebody's interested in this, you can get up to the local dojo, you can learn, you can be taught from professionals such as yourself. How cool is that for you to be able to not only be as young as you are, but to be able to pass on that legacy like Booker T's passing on to you?
Yeah, it's very cool to be able to. It's a weird transition to go from, just being the guy who was just trying to. I mean, I attended every seminar that was out there. I tried to learn from everybody that I could, and just try to be a sponge for as much wrestling as possible. And then when someone comes along and asks me for advice, it's a weird transition. It's a weird feeling, but it's amazing to be able to think that the people who helped me out to be able to play that role for somebody else is it's an honor.
Well, you've done, because you're one of the trainers at Booker School now, and so we talk all the time. There's a million different wrestling schools across the country right now, but there's 3 or 4 legitimate schools where you're going to go and you're going to learn everything, and you're going to get the exposure you need out of the school. And Booker T's is absolutely one of them. And I don't know what the school's like now. I know back at WrestleMania 25, I know what it was like. And I had seen all the schools here, including the best schools here. And it was nothing like that. He had a full gym setup back there. 2 rings and a full gym setup. And no other wrestling school I've ever seen had the gym setup, the weight setup. And that's such a big part of it. It's awesome that you guys have that. And you get the world-class training. You get all the exposure you need. That you can do whatever you want with the exposure you get. If you want to use it, and you can go out there and you can get those spots on Raw and get seen by those guys, awesome. If that's not what you want to do, you don't have to do it. But you have that opportunity. And people who don't take it and they go to Joe Schmo's wrestling school when Joe Schmo hasn't done anything outside of your area, I'm not taking anything away from that. Sometimes those are the best places to get the basics. But you got to ask your trainer where he's been. You don't have to ask Booker T where he's been. And for Booker T to co-sign for you like that, that's humongous.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty surreal thing for me. He hasn't put his stamp on a lot of people like that, and been so public about his support. And for him to be as supportive as he has been for me, and to give me the opportunities he has, and kind of put the light on me, is it's not something I expected, especially because I was the guy who trained at that local Joe Schmo school in Alabama, and realized hey, this isn't it. This isn't what I want to do, and moved out to Booker's and try to get that world class training, and for him to believe in my abilities enough to put me on the public stage and say this is my guy. It's
it's a big sign of respect, and I appreciate it from him.
Now, what would so someone wants to get into wrestling, somebody wants to learn how to wrestle and thinks they want to do it. What's your advice to them?
I would say, like, with the way that independent wrestling is, I feel like there's a lot of different levels, and I compare it to baseball. There's guys who, in independent wrestling, there's guys who are like, they're playing AAA ball, and they're trying to make it to the majors, they're pretty good, and they're trying to get there, but there's also guys playing rec league softball. So I would just say be realistic with your expectations and know what you're getting into. Go shop around a school. If you're really serious about it, then you're probably going to have to move unless you're in a major market and you're lucky enough to have a good school near you. So if you want to make a career out of it, then you got to get to one of those top level schools and really make a go for it, because you're not gonna, you got to set yourself up for success in such an oversaturated market.
Now, how many schools are there in your area other than Booker T's? Is there other schools?
Yeah, they're popping up all the time. I think just in the Houston area, there's 4 or 5 quote unquote schools.
Why would you do it?
And it's just that's the way it is. I think everybody, if someone's been around 15 years and they're like, I'm going to buy a ring and I'm going to set up a school.
Here's what it is, JP. Here's what it is, JP. It's just like anything else. It is as soon as somebody thinks they have a little bit of experience, thinks they have a little bit of knowledge, they go out there and do it. It's like Rex has taken his time out of his day to be on part of our podcast. There's got to be at least 5,000 other podcasts out there that do the same stuff that we do. The only difference is that we understand the humility, the respect, the trust, and the circle that it takes to get where Rex has got. That's the biggest difference. We're not just marks. You live it, I live it, we love it. It's something that we've grown up with. I mean, I grew up watching AWA with my great grandfather on his lap on Saturday nights watching black and white TV. Man, that's where it stems from. And we get a chance with somebody like Rex to come on here and talk about how kayfabe is still there. Yeah, but it's not. So, it's a line. It's a gray line that we love. It's not black and white. And he's not here being the tactician that he is. He is here being Rex Andrews, which is the coolest thing for these kids now, is that they can be themselves. They can also be the character in the ring. Everybody understands and knows the difference, and the sky is the limit for these kids, man. And that's what's so cool about having Rex on here, is that he's humble, he's dedicated, he loves his mom, and that's what we're here for, man.
But in Texas, though, Texas is a huge state, and I get that. But in Texas, you got you guys in Houston, you got Reality of Wrestling in Houston to learn from, and then what's it down in Austin where you got Rude Boy with the TWA?
Yeah.
So I mean, you got literally two of the top schools in the country. Why would anyone else open? I would not. It would be a piss poor business plan to open up a wrestling school unless you're Hulk Hogan. There's no reason you would get any business in Texas because you guys, anyone who doesn't go to YouTube should be ashamed of themselves.
We're just making statements, and Rex is sitting there going, "Yep."
Right.
I agree with you guys. I don't, make good points.
It's just nuts to me that there would be other wrestling schools in Texas, because those two, if you're up in the Houston area, if you're not going to Reality of Wrestling, who's training you? Because the trainer who taught him is probably Booker T, and they're still in business. So why wouldn't you just go there? It kills me, the amount of wrestling schools. Like up here, we have New England Pro Wrestling Academy, which is another one of the ones I'd say is one of the tops in the country. But then there's other schools where they might be good for learning the basics for shorter, or even like a monthly basis. But if you want to go past working in Elks Lodge, you got to go past that in training.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about, different levels of aspirations. Like if you just want to have this as a hobby and you just want to do it on the weekends and you want to train for a couple months and get on a show, Booker's is not the place for you. Like, you got to be dedicated, you got to work hard, and really try to make it go as a career for this if you want to be a part of reality wrestling.
And that's the difference.
Did we talk about his day, or did we go off on a tangent yet? Did we talk about what your day is from fucking the time you get up till you leave? I mean, yeah, I know you talked about social media and stuff like that, but I mean, regular jobs, training, what time you're getting up. I mean, if somebody really wants to get in this, Rex, I mean, because you are heart and soul. You are what it takes to get into this business, what it takes to do what you do. I mean, you're willing to travel to Japan, a country you've never been in, probably speak out of shit. Plus, you want to go ahead and also do videos, cut it, put it together, do a Rex Files. But also, I mean, it's how you are taking this, and to me, it's to the point where it's like, this guy is over the top, and that's what it takes. Is that what it takes for kids these days? I mean, when you were getting into this business, you either got to be all in or nothing.
Absolutely. I think that is what it takes. And, before the Rex Files, I was kind of busy on social media, but once this thing started, I was like, okay, this is a daily thing. I better get going. I better be daily busy, showing people what I'm doing. Cause, I don't know, it's this kind of catch where you feel like, it doesn't matter. Like, who really cares? Why am I posting this? And then I realized, like, it's just, man, you got to be all in. You got to be over the top if you're going to stand out. You got to be doing what nobody else is doing. So, just embracing that hustle and just letting people in on what I'm doing has been, I feel like, the biggest difference and why I'm picking up the steam I am. So I think it is what's necessary. I think, going over the top and doing as much as possible is what it takes to stand out in this market.
Now, since you've gotten back in Japan, have other bookers, have other companies gotten in touch with you about bringing you onto shows? Has that come about yet?
Yeah, 2017 I was booked almost every weekend, and right now I'm booked pretty solid through a good portion of the year, and things are just kind of steady picking up. That's part of the hustle is I'm reaching out, but I'm reaching out with a pretty solid resume at this time, so things have been going pretty good as far as bookings go.
If you make it anywhere in the East Coast, you let me know, and we'll get you up here too. So.
Absolutely, man. I'll take you up on that. I got to get up that way.
Boston's it's a hot market. It's a fun market too. So I think you'd fit right in. Your style.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented guys up there, man.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's everywhere in the world. It just depends on like we just talked about with the schools. It depends on the training that you get, on how far you go.
Except Montana.
Except Montana, right?
Montana.
We gotta run a show up there, Josh.
I'm telling you guys right now, is that it's the pro wrestling market in Montana is untapped and untouched. If somebody could come in here and just buy the Salvation Army and run a school out of here, it would be amazing. But I digress, right?
I think when we ran those shows up there, it was Big Time Wrestling. It came in. I think they contract out 2 shows a year out there.
Yes.
And there's one guy who owns a ring in Montana. So they have to get this one guy to bring out the ring, and there's no talent up there. There's no school, nothing. It's crazy. I've never seen a whole state have no wrestling before.
Here's the thing. There is a ton of talent up here. There is just no instructors and no schools.
Well, you brought up Wrestle Circus last time we talked.
No.
And there's a kid from
Who did?
Rex did.
Rex did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I probably brought it up.
All day.
How hot Texas wrestling is.
All day, dude. Wrestle Circus is the shit right now.
So Josh just found Flip Gordon.
Okay.
And Flip trained here in Boston. I know he's gone down for Wrestle Circus a couple times, but Flip's actually from Montana. So he finally found a wrestler from Montana.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Dick. He had to get out of Montana to make it happen.
There's literally no schools, and it's nuts because the rest of the country is alphabet. I call it alphabet soup because there's a million different companies on.
I'm going to tell you this right now. You air this and I'll kick your ass, JP. Is that when WCW and WWE were going head to head, WCW actually would go Missoula, where you were at, Rex. Missoula,
yep.
Butte, Bozeman, Billings. So it hit 4 times up here. They would hit 4 times in Montana when the Monday Night Wars were going on. And at that point in time, we were doing this shit. So I met here in Butte, and at that point, Tank Abbott was here. Goldberg was in Butte, Montana.
as was Kevin Nash. So we took those boys out and partied like it was 1999. And that's the type of stuff that you're talking about. It's such a transition between where you're at right now in professional wrestling as opposed to what it was then. Because at that point in time, it was a brotherhood, and it was crazy. Now it is also brotherhood, but it's a network. It is a huge network of people.
Yeah, those Wild West days. They're hearing those stories from those guys like Stevie Ray and Bruce Pritchard, those guys.
I want to ask some questions to you, and I know we're running a little long, but I just want to ask a few questions from you and where you're at and the people that you've met. Where do you feel you are as far as, and I'm bringing this up because, I mean, watching Wrestle Circus, watching Tessa Blanchard and Brian Cage, that match was fucking insane. Where are you at with intergender matches and women's wrestling and the revolution that's going on right now, which is insane?
All right, so I'm a big fan of women's wrestling. I think, like you said, like when we talked about how things have shifted so much in a couple of years, it's insane. I know that there was a lot of women's talent out there, but you just didn't see it. And now there's so many, good female workers out there, and they're putting on amazing matches. It's just great. It's great to see. It's just wrestling across the board, and I like being on cards and it not being the women's match not being the novelty anymore. It used to be like the announcer would be like, "All right, you guys ready for the ladies' match?" Everybody like is the hoops and hollers, and now it's just just another match on the card, and there'll be 2 or 3 or whatever it is. So a lot of respect for all the female wrestlers out there doing great stuff. I'm personally not a big fan of the intergender wrestling, just from the sense of the believability. And I know in pro wrestling that gets tricky and it gets weird, but it's just I don't get it myself.
No,
so you consider yourself more of a purist as far as men and women in the ring. I mean, that's how I am. It really is. Yeah. It's hard, and it's hard to put over, and it's hard to sell. So when you can actually do it, and you can put somebody like a Brian Cage and a Tessa Blanchard together, and it can get pulled off, that's amazing. And that's a big reason I wanted to ask, because, dude, you're eating, sleeping, and breathing this on a daily basis, and you're feeling it, and I want to see what it's like on your guys' level, because if people are touting this as the next big thing, I can understand it and I can see it, but at the same time, it's difficult.
Yeah, no, there's people out there doing it right, for sure. I mean, like you said, like that Tessa Blanchard, Brian Cage match, they did a great job of not making it hard for the audience to meet them halfway. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like they didn't make it totally unbelievable that Tessa was in the fight.
Absolutely. I'm going to sell it to you, but you don't have to buy it. You can buy it if you want to, but I'm going to fucking sell it to you.
Absolutely, yeah. They're like, we're going to bust our ass and make this the best match we can. And, I can totally appreciate that. If that seems to be where the market's going, and that there's a lot of demand for intergender matches. Like I said, I can appreciate it. And like Joey Ryan does a great job with it, obviously. With tags, he would do with Candice LeRae. Yeah. She did a great job. Everybody, the whole team. So, it's just a different, it's just a thing in the time and independent wrestling we're at.
Yeah, James Ellsworth right now is actually traveling with an intergender belt that he made up. The thing with Ellsworth is you believe Ellsworth could get his ass kicked by a girl.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, good for that guy. Of like seeing the market and be like, okay, there's a spot for this.
Yeah. I don't believe Brian Cage can get his ass kicked by a girl.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's whatever. I'm with you on it, Rex, where I'm not a fan of it, mainly because if I saw a guy hitting a girl outside of a wrestling ring, I would probably step in.
Yes.
It's something that it triggers me. You know what I mean? It sets me off. But I understand it being in the wrestling ring, it is what it is. And take it for that.
Yeah, and that's kind of like my personal thing. And I don't know. Maybe it's too old school or it's just like part of my upbringing or whatever. But I just, like, even in training, I'm not going to forearm a girl in the face. and whatever that is, I just don't feel right about it. So it's just where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And that's the cool. And the reason I asked that question is because independent wrestling always brings that stuff to the major stages. And when I talk about major stages, it's not. It's a WWE thing. It really is. It's an independent thing to bring tickets, and when it can be done right, like it was with Wrestle Circus, is fucking amazing. But it can also go extremely, extremely wrong, and it can be a very, very bad situation for a lot of people. So that's the reason I asked the question, is because you're touching this shit on a daily basis, and you're in the trenches, and you're feeling this stuff on a daily basis, and that's why we do what we do, is so we can make sure that we know what the pulse is. And when there's such a purist like you, it's just nice to have that satisfaction that it's the answer that we're looking for is what we're getting. Yeah, I'm sure if you poll 100 different people, you're going to get a lot of different answers, especially about something like that.
It's all about the money, man. It's all about the greenbacks.
That's it. Yeah, where's the bookings coming from?
And it's wrestling's ice cream. There's a flavor for everybody. So
absolutely. Rex, I got a list of questions here that I ask everybody, so I'm going to kind of go through these things, and then I think we're going to try and wrap up. But these are kind of things that we do that are important to us, and it's important that we stay grounded in who we are, because we're old fucking wrestling guys, man. We really are, and we try to keep it grounded. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to ask you, who have been the 3 most influential people in your life outside of the ring?
All right, so outside of the ring, I'm still gonna have to say Booker, just professionally as a businessman and how to handle yourself as a professional. Booker's been a great mentor. My dad is another one who's just he was always supportive of the hustle and me trying to do my thing. And probably I have to go with my mom. She's just, my parents have been very supportive and very understanding in me pursuing this weird passion.
How hard was it you tell Mom and Dad, I'm going to pursue this dream and I'm going to be a professional wrestler?
It wasn't hard for me. It was probably hard for them, though. Like, for me, it was just like, this is what I'm doing. I think I told my dad when I was 9, and he just kind of shrugged me off like you would any 9-year-old. And then as the time went on, they realized I wasn't joking. And as other opportunities came up and I said no because I was going to pursue pro wrestling, and they just kind of, nodded their heads okay. And when I started out and I was, wrestling in flea markets and old train stations and stuff like that, I'm sure they weren't happy. Nobody wants their 16-year-old doing that. But when I got out here with Booker and they started, seeing me on flyers and seeing my progress and seeing that I was really going after it, they were totally accepting.
Here's what I want to tell Mom and Dad while we're here, is that, dude, we are super proud of you, and we are so honored to be behind you.
Hey, no, I really appreciate it, man. Any support is amazing. That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. You guys did a great job. You guys are good podcast hosts. You guys know what you're doing.
We're fucking, so we don't know what we're doing yet, dude.
Do what?
We don't know what we're doing yet. We're trying to figure that out.
Well, that's what we're all learning as we go, right?
That's it, man.
Start out, you know what I mean? Like, you guys, dude, I've done a lot of podcasts, done a lot of these interviews. You guys are solid, man. You guys are good.
I appreciate
it. And so it's amazing to have you guys just a part of the wrestling business right now.
And that's the thing, dude, is you're going to find out. If you need pub, if you needed to push anything, within a text, if you text either one of us, within 5 minutes, we're going to have shit up for you.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate that. I will take you guys up on that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the thing, is that the biggest thing, Rex, is why we took a break, is it was personal. We knew we were years ahead of where we needed to be at that point in time.
Yeah.
And we decided that it was a chance to wait for the industry to catch up with us, and it has. And that's the coolest thing for us, is that it's finally caught up with us, and there's so many opportunities for so many people to experience professional wrestling for even $5 a month for Patron,
to people that fucking say, hey, you know what, if you pay me $2 a month, I'll fucking mention you on Twitter, or whatever the hell these people are doing, right? That's the coolest thing, and we want to help you guys make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
Finn Balor, Natty Neidhart, Matt Sydal. I mean, you can run through the litany of lists, and when I say I'm honored and proud to have you, dude, I really am. I'm glad, and you are my Stone Cold Junior, and I'm going to say that to the fucking end of the world.
All right. Appreciate that, guys.
No, you are great at your art, man, and it is that. It is an art, so.
Well, you keep fucking busting your ass, and we'll keep busting our ass for you.
That sounds good, man. We'll keep it going.
When you
grow together.
When you get that deal and you make it big, we're gonna be like, we knew him.
Yeah. We'll have this audio to go back to, right?
That's it. So.
Cool, man. I don't have any more questions, man. I appreciate it. If anybody that you know wants to kind of experience the same thing, just let them know. We're here to help you guys out. We're not here to fucking, we're going to be marked 100% of the time, all the time, because I couldn't do what you guys do, and I admire it, and I love it, and I miss it. But we're just here to help you guys make as much money as you possibly can, live out your dream, and do what you can do.
I appreciate it, guys. Like I said, I hope we can talk soon. And, I appreciate you guys having me on, ultimately.
Yeah, no problem.
Always. Dude, it's if you want to do a monthly thing, you are always welcome here. You're a class act, and the fact that Booker T is behind you 100%. Just default. We are default behind Booker T at that point in time.
There we go.
I need you to thank Booker for me, by the way.
Okay.
I think he knows what this is about. The shit with Corey Graves, the stuff with Corey Graves was fucking amazing. Yeah. I said on the air, I said, I think there's going to be a match at WrestleMania between the two. And I just had those two guys are both too professional to go off on their own tangent like that. But the publicity, they showed kayfabe works.
Absolutely, yeah.
They didn't tell anyone. They didn't have permission. They just did it. And they got in, Sports Illustrated, Forbes, and a couple other real magazines. So please thank him.
Booker has been trying to get off the...
But you look at what that did. It was incredible.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when he got Corey
all I want to see Booker do, all I want to see him do is a fucking spinner Rooney and then drop the mic in front of fucking Corey Graves and walk off.
But when he got Corey Graves on the radio show and they were just laughing about it, that was great. I just wish I had wished it gone on a little bit longer and they actually did something. They could have forced WWE to do something.
Yeah, or at least address it or something, right?
Right.
Push it that far.
So, can you just please let him know I was entertained by that?
I'll let him know, for sure.
I thought it was awesome. That was the best thing that happened so far.
Again, we want to take time to thank Rex Andrews for taking time out of his busy schedule. We'll be back here next week with a special guest. We're not going to let anybody know what it is or who it is. So look forward to tuning in next week with a special guest. I guarantee you guys are going to mark out.